Hey guys, and welcome to Day Scott, where I bring daily content on entrepreneurship and personal growth. Every day, bar Sunday, so 6 days a week, I bring you daily content on entrepreneurship and personal growth. So how do I bring you that content on a daily basis? So what I do is what Garyvee preaches, is I document rather than create. So what I do, I started a company last month, and I document each day, each of my learnings, because as you'll know, if you're an entrepreneur, someone who's running your business, or just someone who's hungry for growth, then you're always consuming knowledge, and you're wearing so many hats in the business because you're having to just run so much. So your learning path is just so steep, and that's why one of the reasons why I love business. But I thought it'd be such a great idea to actually communicate it to people on a daily basis, and you can see the real journey of an entrepreneur in these early stages. That is why I believe most of us are, and sort of that's the mismatch between most influencers I find, is that obviously they've done the grind, but it can be, I think, difficult to resonate with them sometimes when they have so much stardom and success in their industry, whereas I don't necessarily have that success. I don't have that stardom, that power yet. So you're going to resonate with me on that factor, and we're going to grow together, and you'll see me grow. You'll see me at my good times as well, my bad. Again, it's going to be fully transparent, and that's another thing I'm going to really push, is always being completely transparent with you guys to allow you to really see me and basically understand an entrepreneur's journey and learn from me as well as I learn from you. If I've got issues, I will come to you as well. So it is a really just friendly journey that you're going to be welcomed into. So I hope you do stay. It's really good fun, lots of good content, because it's all what's going through here each day, so it's quite interesting at times. But this is a really key one today. This is one, again, that I speak to my mentor, and it's actually caused me a few issues in business, this one, and I'm sure it's caused you a few issues, not even just in business, or sometimes in life, and that is miscommunication. So this video is really going to dive into understanding how to manage and understand miscommunication. So we're really going to dive into it and really understand the topic, and I might even spill some beans on some of the examples that I faced in business as well. So stay tuned, guys, and I'll see you in a minute. Hey guys, and welcome back to the video. So, managing and understanding miscommunication. So first of all, I want to say Daily Blog 65. We're getting there, not far off at all. Really excited to hit 100. Not sure what we're going to do for it, but we'll see. I want to start off with this video with, I tend to do this because before giving you some backstory examples, which I'll tell you when I go through the video to help you understand it better, it helps me understand it better, but I want to give this quote first. It's not really a quote, it's what I guess it is a quote. I'm quoting my mentor, and I think this really just says it straight away, what I'm going to go on about today, and once you think about it, when I go through the video, it's going to really help you understand it. So let me go for it. So, it's not the message you send, it's the message you receive. Okay, I'll say that again. It's not the message you send, it's the message you receive. It's very interesting if you think about it. And what that's trying to tell you is, like, yes, you may send an email of something on, but it's not what you interpret it. It doesn't matter how you interpret it, it's about what the other person on the other side interprets it, because that's the person you're telling. And to understand that is a very interesting thought process. It's very interesting. And you might say, oh, well, Scott, if it says it in the email or it says it in the text or whatever, then you can't argue that you didn't do it. But that's where you have to understand. People interpret things completely different. Different work styles can affect it. Emotions. Let's dive into it, because I've got some points, and then I'll really dive into it and we can discuss it. So what can affect the message? Emotions, obviously, if you're whether excited, upset, anger, any emotion can damage understanding and computing a message. A good one really is stress. I find when people are stressed in work, I've learned this from myself and working with others, that when people are very stressed, they don't seem to see the very simple things in tasks. It tends to just cloud your judgment, and suddenly a very easy task becomes very difficult. I'm sure you'll probably be able to think of a few examples in your head now about that. So emotions can really affect what the message is received. Tone of voice. So my tone of voice, I think it's reasonably bubbly right now, but yeah, tone of voice, that can I could definitely affect it as well. Body language. So how I command body language can say many things, but what's interesting about body language is that we don't necessarily. Yes, we do pick up on it, but it's not like, oh, I noticed you did this, this, and this, and this, and this. We just naturally pick up on it, and there's just sometimes it's like when you sometimes come away from a conversation, you just be like, it's just something I didn't like about that guy when you first meet someone, and it might just because they hold themselves a bit more confident than you, or just very confident. I'm just gonna put my charger in here. There we go. More confident, and that might, I don't know, it might affect your ego. It might make you a bit more want to feel like there's a bit of competition there because of the confident stance he has. It's a funny place, our brain, when we subconsciously just consume all this, but it's really key to understand it. It's very good going down the psychology side of things now. That's what my sister does, actually. She does a lot of stuff around psychology, did a degree in it, and I always have good chats with her, and that's why I find this interesting. Another one is less sort of us, it's more just having too many people in the communication system. So if your message has to go through 4 people, it's like Chinese whispers, the game where you say it and then it gets to the end, it gets through 10 people and it's just not the thing that you said at all. It's so true. It's a funny game, but it's if you think about it, it's actually a very clear understanding of what I'm saying here. So they're the things that can really affect it, quite easily affect it. And the thing is these things are every day. You're going to have different emotions to the day. Your tone of voice is going to be different, based mainly on your emotions. Your body language is going to change. And too many people, sometimes there's lots of people in a project, like you can't really get around that. Now, what makes this worse? Like what actually harnesses, I find, miscommunication quite a lot in business. Obviously there's those things that can heavily affect it, but I find that these are the 3 that or 2 should I say, is that really does create miscommunication in the workplace, and that's emails and texts. Any written format, like just emails and texts are a good example. Group messages like Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, whatever it is. Yes, obviously it's great to have these. I'm not saying don't have these communication platforms. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying they're bad. Absolutely not. They're fantastic to have groups. It's fun. I have groups with my different clients just to get quicker communication. Obviously, I have the phone numbers. I can text them and I email them every day, pretty much every day. So it's great for communication. Absolutely, I'm not damaging in regards for great for communication. However, there is something that comes with it, is that it can really affect how people interpret messages. Especially, we're in so many rushes in the day that it's just so easy to write something. The way I explain it is actually the way I speak is the way I understand. So I speak the way I understand, not how other people understand. Does that make sense? So I speak the way I understand, not how other people understand. And this, again, if you're in a rush, you're going to say it I call it like coded messaging. I'll go into some examples of that in a minute. But these are really bad for it. Emails, text group. Now, what you want to look more to, and this is what I do now, so I have calls with some of my clients 3, 4, 5 times a day. And that's calls instead of just, because you can just get so much done, so much quick in calls. It's straight, there's just answers, you just go back and forth, and emails are just so long-winded. Sometimes, yes, they're necessary, but I just prefer a call. So call, and even better face-to-face, like Skype's good, and even better, obviously, physically, face-to-face in a meeting. These are the best forms of communication in order to stop miscommunication, because you're physically in each other's presence, so you're there to answer all the questions, and the biggest thing is you can reconfirm there. It's like when you email, you ask questions and you try to reconfirm. It can be a very difficult process sometimes, whereas when you're there and present, you can ask any question and it's so easy and you get answers like that. So it's really good for being really clear and having a lot of clarity on what you're trying to communicating. But again, obviously emotions, body language and tone of voice and stuff like that 100% can still affect it. So no matter what form of communication you choose, there's always going to be times where there'll be miscommunication. It's just how business is going to work. We're not always going to communicate the right message. And what I believe from my experience is that you have to understand, and I spoke a lot about this in my daily blog 58. I'll put it at the end of the video. Really recommend you go watch that. And basically that goes on about how to manage different work styles, because that's something that I've learned and become very aware of since working with a range of different clients and being embedded into their teams, is that I'm suddenly being open to very different work styles. And you know how I'm a big advocate for the just do it attitude compared to planning. And it's just interesting because at first I was very close-minded in it. Like I was very like my ways. I don't want to say it, but there was a sense to like my way was the right way, and that's the way it works. I'm not to the sense like I was being forceful on people, but I'm just gonna make that a little bit. Sorry, just a bit clearer for you. Not in the sense of being forceful on people, but you know when you know your way, when it works your way. Obviously you can always like work in your way, but you know it works, and that I think that's the attachment that I struggle to leave my working style, is that once you know it works, it's very difficult to adapt to others, but they know theirs works, is it works for them. So again, this is something I'm developing, is I'm trying to be more clear on other work styles and be more open-minded and adapt to them, because I know that's going to make me, one, a better leader, two, better in business, just better, and a better all-round person, just dealing with people. At the end of the day, business, it's people to people. No matter what business you're in, it's whether it's service or product, it's people to people. That is the end all. That's what business is. So it's unbelievably important. So that's why I believe what I believe to get round miscommunication, or as best as we can, as like I said, it's going to creep up now and then, is really understanding your workforce, really understand who you're working with, understand even as simple as saying like how do you work, how do you enjoy being communicated, what's your sort of work style. And it's not always a simple question and answer thing. Yes, that'll help, but it might just be you've got to work for a month with each other and you'll understand each other, and that's going to be really key. And just go back to that scale thing that I said in quite a few videos. I probably said it in that daily blog 58. Definitely go watch that one. And that's the scale of there's people that have high emotion, that are highly emotional in decision making. When it comes to decision making, there's fast decision makers, high emotion, low emotion. So the just do it attitude is a lot low emotion and fast decision making, whereas the plan is it's high emotion and it's slow decision making. That's a better example for you to understand and for me to understand. So when these two come together, it can be very difficult to get a middle grounding. That's something definitely we're facing with, and it can cause miscommunication because we work completely differently, and it's something we're definitely adapting to. And it's interesting for sure. It can be frustrating at times. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like yes, it's interesting, absolutely, but obviously when you know your way, it can be hard to sort of change your ways to facilitate. But I know that's part of being a good leader, is to be able to facilitate other people's work styles. I believe that'll make me into a very good leader in the future. So I'm gonna always be open-minded to things like this, and I think you should too. So I'll come back to the coded messaging thing, just an example. Now this example makes complete sense for me. I don't know if it's going to make complete sense. It might do. I would have thought if it does for me, it will do for some. So a good example for me is Garyvee. So I'm sure you watch Garyvee. If not, just go watch one in video and you'll get what I mean. So when I said earlier, I speak the way I understand, not how other people understand. How I understand what I'm saying. I understand things. And I found that with Garyvee is that I'm not knocking it, outstanding influencer. I love his content. It's great stuff. But what I find is that when I watch his videos, he's very coded in the sense. I think that's a good way to explain it. Is that like his messaging is almost coded, because he talks in a very coded business format, and it just baffles me sometimes. Like I just don't get what he's saying. He'll be like explaining something, and then he'll use lots of different words. Like I know what the words are, but I just don't understand how he's using them in the sentence, and it'll make clear sense to him, and I guess it makes sense to the person next to him, maybe not all the time, but to me I'm just like, what? Like, I just don't get it. And I have to rewatch that little passage, a video a few times. I go, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, it's not necessarily he's explaining a complicated thing. He's just explaining it in a very complicated way. If you go watch one of his videos, you'll get it. I think you'll get what I mean. But that's what I believe is, and that's what him trying to. That's him on a video, not trying to create miscommunication. It's just because everyone speaks and understands things completely differently. My reality to your reality is completely different. You interpret things differently to me. I interpret things differently to me. And that can be highly based on emotions. It can, like I said, above and so much more. So I feel when it comes to miscommunication, first of all, the easy things to do is stop using as much emails and stuff and just start calling and do face-to-face or Skype meetings. That's the first thing you can implement today. The second one, the more high-level stuff that's going to take time, and that's going to take time for me, is that really understand, and this is the takeaway, is really understand who you're working with, your employees, your team, whoever you're working with, really understand how they work, your clients, and be willing to learn how they work. Don't just be like, oh, I understand. Like, learn, because for me, dealing with tons of clients, I have to learn how other people work, because my relationship with one client isn't going to be the same as another client, because we're going to work in a different way. One's going to be really fast and intense, the other one's going to be more chill and relaxed, and it's going to be different. And I have to bounce about and find a way to manage myself to deal with different ones on one day, which is going to be an interesting process for me, and making sure there's not miscommunication. So I would say to go to the high level is really try to understand how they work, and be willing to adapt your working style in order to better facilitate them. Therefore, you'll see much better communication in your workplace. Absolutely. And that, it's really key, because it can cause issues. Obviously, it's quite obvious that if you miscommunicate, it can cause issues. I'll throw a few. I said I might spill the beans on some examples. I'll throw a few examples at you. One example was in my first company. My website designer, I love him. He's a great guy. I still work with him. It was just miscommunication, and basically, he said your website will be live in the next. Will be live at the start of November. This was in 2015. It will be live at the start of November. I was like, great, that's going to work for the timescale. I had all the advertising, like student unions, all set up. 1st November, like everything was set up. And it was going to go live, and then it went live, and literally like 3 days, like 2 days before it, he emailed me, go, yeah, you do realise that, yeah, obviously it's be live, so we can go on it, but like Google won't index it. And I was like, what was that? What are you talking about? What does that mean? I said, yeah, people won't be able to actually find you. Like, yes, it will be live, but like Google take at least 4 to 8 weeks to index it. I was like, what? So no one will actually be able to find this out. He'd be like, no. I was like, are you taking the piss? And at first I melted down. I was like, oh my God, we spent so much money on advertising, everything's set up. It's 3 days away. What am I going to do? Cut a long story short, basically we kept the advertisement, but we just gave them different graphics, basically pre-advertisement, like pre-website coming out and all stuff like that. So I adapted, which is great, but this is a really interesting miscommunication, and he believed he communicated that to me in an email, but I just didn't read it. I read what I wanted to see, really, because I wanted to know it's come out in November. So obviously, whether that was my fault or his fault, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there's been some miscommunication here, and that caused a serious issue. So there's an example. I have many others, and I don't want to ramble on, so otherwise I'll be here for ages rambling on. So I'll delve into them in other videos. But if you want to have any questions about the video then, or learn some more examples so you can understand it better, just comment below, DM me, whatever, and we can have some further discussions on this topic and some examples to just help you understand, because examples always help you understand it. Because I have to communicate this, obviously. You don't want any miscommunication. How ironic. But yeah, the takeaway is be really self-aware of yourself with the emotions, body language, the message you're projecting, because it's not the message you send, it's the message received. Be very aware of the work styles around you, and be willing, that's the keyword, willing to adapt to their work styles, and be more on call, use calls compared to emails. Stop emailing as much. Just call people. Just have face-to-face meetings. Visual. That's all about visual, so you can read each other better. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. This was a good thinking one for me, and I'm hungover, and I think I did quite well actually. I went quite smooth there, so I was happy about that. As always, absolute pleasure. Please do follow and subscribe where you are now at Scott Mears. Subscribe, follow to my Twitter at Scott Mears _, my Facebook at Scott Mears Entrepreneur. It was an absolute pleasure, guys. This was Day to Day Scott. To create the future, go out. I went so smooth, and then I just ruined the outro. What a shame. Oh, I'm such a dick. Oh, I'm not editing it, I can't be asked. Anyway, the best way to predict the future is create. Go out there, create your future, guys. This is Day to Day Scott. It was an absolute pleasure. It's Monday. Go smash Monday, and I will see you Tuesday. And that's a digital marketing one, and it's a very, very interesting one. It's going to be. I'll leave it actually. You'll find out. But it's going to be a really interesting discussion. Anyway, I'll see you then, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye bye.